Hey everybody, Barry here again. I'm not quite sure how to start this video other than... I'm so sick of blowing up engines. No, I'm not. I love it. It's not actually blown up, but I'm gonna get at this thing pre-explosion. So it's got a knock in it, of course, but it's not like a knock, it's kind of like a tap. It decides when it wants to come and go. I'm gonna pull the heads off to see what it is. I'm going to drive it up the road one more time because when I got into light acceleration, it was going tap, 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 like it was before it exploded last time. Just to be sure that this is something I want to do. You saw a couple days ago that I started a race car, waiting on parts for that one, so I'm going to get at this. Let's take this thing for a test drive, just to be sure. If it seems to get a little bit worse, or if I feel uncomfortable, I'm pulling the heads off. Let's get in this thing, go for a drive. Alright, let's see what this thing does. I got the camera set up, I don't know how well it's going to do. Power steering pump is getting a little bit loud. Taking out the cradle, but if not, I'll just pull the engine down out of it, put a couple pistons in it, good to go again. Maybe I'll take the other heads off my cart truck. Get a little bit more compression. Stop here and reload the tune. Pull the data off what the log I just did. I was wondering why I didn't make any boost at all. And of course, down here, they got a clamp bust off. Good. I'm bring a screwdriver, but I have a quarter. I don't know, let's try it. It's working.
First lesson here is don't necessarily use hose clamps. I don't know why they won't hold any air pressure, although they hold fluid pressure all the time.
I guess another lesson is if you're going to use hose clamps, bring a screwdriver, because it probably will blow off, like it has to me several times. I'm not going to load this tune in because it was bad data with no charge tube on it. So it didn't seem to be crazy lean anywhere, but it did go rich. Whether that was because the charge tube was off, but I am speed density, so really it shouldn't be because it only goes off map. So anyway, I'll drive this thing back to the shop. I'm going to pull the heads off it. I really don't like that tapping noise. It never gets better, it always gets worse. It runs okay. It probably hasn't been making much boost because of the charge tube thing. Yeah, it's bounced around. Oh, it made boost. Oh, there goes the charge tube again. Well, it did make boost. I'll check the log and see what it made. Okay, the engine still runs. Best thing about speed density is if you blow off the charge tube, it's still going to run. Not like mass air. This thing's bouncing around a lot. Not like mass air where if you lose the tube, it's not going to run at all. Especially if the mass air is on the inlet side of the turbo. Man, that made boost. This footage is not going to be amazing because I set my tripod up in the van on the seat. So, definitely not going to be very steady. Probably a lot of vibration, so I apologize. That is rattling like hard. Definitely sounds like a rod bearing. When I'm on light acceleration, it's tapping, but as soon as I get into it hard, it goes away. Probably gets oil pressure up. Yep. I get to rebuild another engine though, so that's pretty sick. Everybody in town still looks at this thing like, why is there a massive pipe sticking out of the hood? Why is there no hood? Race car stuff, I guess. Air conditioning doesn't work, obviously. The transmission is actually shifting better than it did before. I'm still going to pull it out because I hate standard transmissions. Sorry about the manual elitist out there. Let's see. You guys can see too. That'll work. I made 7 pounds. And then it blew off, so it was making more. I bet it'll make 10, 12 pounds if it'll hold. Well, are you guys getting sick and tired of watching me build engines for this thing yet? Well, I'm not tired of it. Let's pull this amazing absolute unit out of the way so I can put my pile of junk on the ramp again. Yay! So by now, you know the drill. Build engine, drive it for 45 minutes, build engine, repeat. I'm gonna go, what am I gonna do first, I wonder? I think I will pull the drain plug first, see if there's any shiny bits in there or pieces of aluminum that would tell me what's going on, and I'll go from there. Fun. Okay, 32-ounce cup or quart, depending on what country you're from. Oil, clean bucket. See if I can catch some of this and make a mess on the ground. Ugh. Ah, not too bad. Very liquidy though. It's like water. It's very dirty. It shouldn't be that dirty. It's only got like 4 hours on it. Doesn't seem to be any metal on it though, so far. Well, while you watch me rebuild this engine, Average Joe Builds just got his Turbo LS Fairmont finished and on the road. And it sounds wicked. So go over and check him out. While it is dirty, it doesn't really give me any cause for concern. Doesn't look like there's any metal or anything. A little bit of sealant right here from the drain plug because I put our TV on it. But doesn't really look like there's any sparklies or anything in it. I'm going to pour a little bit into a small container so I can see the bottom. Hopefully it's not the bearings. Hopefully, if anything, it's a piston broke and I'll just put a piston in it and all will be well again. Watch me waste this all over the counter. It's just dirty. I don't really see anything in there that makes me upset. This was the first drop of oil that came out also, so it doesn't look like there's any metal in it. It's really, really watery. I'm going to measure the amount that came out of this just to make sure I don't have an injector stuck open or something. Because I know I put in 7 quarts, so if there's 7 or less in there, I know that's fine. And it looks like a lot of oil came out. But I guess it's only like up to the 1.5 gallon mark maybe. I'm gonna measure it out with this quart cup here and pour it in this thing. Well, I can't pour it in that thing because it's full, so I'll pour it in that thing. I don't see a problem here. That's 1 quart. 2 quarts. Something does look kind of freaky in it though. Sweet. 3, 4, 5. And there's pretty much 7, little drop left over. So it seems to me that there's no injector stuck open. Everything seems like it's working fine there. So that's a good sign. I'd rather if an injector wasn't stuck open, because then I got to go and flow bench another full set, decap them. It's a lot of fooling around. Plus have to rebuild this thing. Doesn't seem to be any shininess in there. I shine a light on it. There's no glitter. Piston. I'm gonna go pull the driver's side head off because that's always where my issue is. Never had a passenger side issue. So that one should be fairly easy to get off too because turbo and everything is all on the other side. And within an hour or so, I should have it off and then we'll know more. I'm under the van undoing the exhaust. And I wonder if I may have found my problem. So I was undoing a couple bolts up here and I realized that this is fully open. That'll give you a big tapping noise. Now this bolt here is loose, but you can see that the flange is still tight here and it's still very tight over here, but that is that's quite a leak spot right there. I know I got the intake off, but I almost don't want to take the head off now. I'm not very far into it. All I gotta do is put the intake back on, bolt it down, plug the coils back in. But I am gonna take that manifold off just because it's obviously warped. The flange is obviously warped like a lot if it's gonna burn out the center like that. I had a gasket on there and I doubled it up with copper RTV. So I'll get a sanding block and just sand it down till it's flat, I guess. if you've ever heard a truck going down the road with a manifold gasket gone or a manifold cracked, especially the Fords and Dodges, it sounds enough like the engine is knocking to almost call it that. And I've bought scrap vehicles where the guy said the engine's knocked, but the back bolt broke on the manifold on a Chev truck, and it sounds just like a knock. I don't know. It's worth a shot. But I guess I'm equally as close to getting the head off. I'm so indecisive. This is the absolute worst. This is why I put plain water in the engine. Because I knew before long I'd be scrapping the engine again. I'm gonna pull the head off. I've 98% decided. Unless, you know, I have another change of heart. Whatever. I'm not even gonna undo any of the belt drive or anything. Just take out the one bolt or whatever it is, one or two in here. Pull the head straight off this way. It works. I've done it before. It's tight and it sucks. But if I find that a piston's cracked, the engine's got to come out anyway. So I'll decide then what I'm doing. Well, I haven't washed out the cylinders yet. Obviously, there's lots of water in there still. So far, everything looks fine. Let's get all this old water out. I don't have any oil in it anyway, so I gotta drain it. I'll drain the old water out of the pan. This isn't coolant, so it's not gonna wipe the cylinders out, or the bearings, I mean. Dude, there's doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the pistons. This one had a couple dings in it before. That's what I was talking about. It looks like a little bit of, maybe a little bit of detonation. But pistons look fine. Well, I just bumped the key a few times. Everything looks absolutely fine. Okay, mental checklist. Drained the oil while it was dirty, which probably had a lot to do with the engine itself running on last year's oil. Or how should I word that? The engine wasn't completely empty. The oil pan, of course, came off of it. I put new oil in on top of it. But right through the engine was dirty oil anyway, from last year. So anyway, no chunks, no shiny stuff. The oil looked fine while it was thin, but I guess that's because it was hot. I just drove it off the highway and drained the oil, so that's fine. Pistons on this side are fine. I'm not even gonna bother to take the other head off because I've never had an issue with that side. Now I know that the pistons are fine on that side. I had the light on the other side, I could see it. Everything looked fine in there. I just couldn't see this side very well. The angle that it was on was giving me trouble. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'll have this thing running again tonight. So after this car show / burnout competition thing is over, I think I'm going to start getting the automatic put in it. Also, I've got to bleed the front brakes on this thing again because they're absolute trash. And they're bad enough that the line lock isn't doing anything. So I think I'm pretty much only have back brakes right now. So I'll do that again later. Let's get this thing put back together and go out on the highway, see what it does. Well, I got this thing pretty much sanded down. Got the flange that's on the Y pipe sanded down. Also, I changed out my lifters on that side anyway. When I put these in, it was old lifters that I had in a box. They weren't great. I blew them out the best I could. A couple of them, not that great. And you can see here that, where is it? One of them, maybe it was this one. Yeah, this one here, that the clip actually dislodged and the cylinder is stuck down. There's 2 or 3 in there like that. This one here is stuck down a little bit. So these weren't perfect. That one's stuck down like a lot. So that'll give you noises too. That's no good. I had some out of another engine that were in great shape. The engine had very little miles on it, and I found those, so I put the 8 of those in there. Next time I gotta take the other head off, I'll replace those 8. So this should help a lot too. I'm gonna go ahead now and put the head on, bolt this thing back together, put a new gasket on the exhaust, of course, and bury that in ultra copper again. And hope that's my issue. Well, everything is all back together again. And I went ahead, hooked up the 2-step again. Not going to be using it this time until it's completely tuned. No timing in it. Everything's done right. Yeah, I just got to put oil in it now. Everything else is done. Went extra happy on the ultra copper. I don't want any more leaks. Is that the issue? I'm still not fully confident. I still think I have some sort of a rod bearing or something noise going on there. But unless it blows up like tomorrow or next day, this is it. I'm not touching it again. But yeah, I'm gonna go put oil in this thing now, and then we'll take it out on the road for a quick drive, and I'm gonna go home and eat some supper. ready for the first fire. I forgot to do it the battery lug. Yeah, close enough for now. After I get the harness done for the automatic transmission, which I'm gonna have to do a whole new harness because when I did this one, I had a manual and a rat rod. I wiped out all the automatic wiring. Instead of leaving it all there and tying it up nice and neat so I could use it later, young and dumb. So I'm gonna have to do a whole new harness, and that will allow me to clean that up way nicer than it is right now because I was in a rush to get this thing to the first burn new competition. I'm in a rush now to get it to another one. I just don't have time. So as soon as I'm done, as soon as I have another little bit of free time, I'll be doing that harness. It'll be nice and clean. I won't be embarrassed to show people under the hood. So anyway, before I start rambling again, that's all good. Neutral. Oh crap. All right, so the ignition is not turned on, but the starter is separate from the ignition. So I'm gonna bump the key a little bit to get the fuel pressure up. Just for a few seconds to get the oil pressure up, fuel pressure. And hopefully now it should start and not knock. I should turn the fan on actually, because it gets quite smoky in here. Fingers crossed, everybody. No knocks, but maybe knocks. All right, here we go. Neutral. Sounds good so far. Turbo spinning up nice. Two-step is on. Man, I love how this thing sounds. It is amazing. And no smoke at all. Just putting out some water. That's good. Let's take it for a drive. Ooh. Also, Dwayne Mifflin gave me this thing, which is a stick to the windshield, put your phone in here and take videos thing. So I don't have to put my tripod on the seat with the seatbelt around it and be all... This should work much better. Let's try it out. Well, I forgot to plug the laptop in, so that's dead. But it won't be a full loss. I'll still be able to test drive it, make sure it runs well and everything. I really want to see if the line lock works. Not even a little bit. Oh, pump it up a bunch of times. Come on, work. Well, it doesn't work. Anyway, I don't know if I got that set up correctly or not. Different camera angles and stuff, maybe on the front windshield, pointing out, that kind of thing, but it'll work for the drive home. Close this window for a second. Well, it's running okay. I don't know if I hear any ticking or not. I put a quart of Lucas in it, real thick stuff, and 6 quarts of 5W30. So if it's going to have oil pressure, it's definitely going to have oil pressure now. Man, I love no blow-off valve. That's so perfect. I wish I had the laptop hooked up now to see how much boost was on it, but that's it. Cameraman says we're working okay. There's not a crazy amount of vibration. I'll probably put a couple pieces of tape over the mount on the windshield and like a zip tie around where it goes onto the phone, but it's a lot better than what I had. This is the first time I've done a video with it running any extended amount of video when it's blowing up. I've been driving it in third gear the whole time. I almost want to stop a couple times and it seems to be fine. There is a little bit of a noise, but it's not as bad as it was. But if it gets worse, it's going to get worse at the racetrack now, I guess. Probably a rod bearing. I don't really want to put a rod in through the block, but if it happens, it happens. I've got the two-step hooked up, and I got that set to 6,500, so I just let it hang on the limiter until something busts, the tires, the engine, something. Either way, should be a good time. And it's running a lot better than it was at Thunder Valley, now that I got the mass air thing sorted out. And speed density is all working. Make a racket. But it doesn't help that it's got a spool. But it makes a really good park brake. Let's go and see if this thing has a knock now. Still sounds fine. No miss. Okay, neighbors are probably trying to sleep. Should shut it off. Well, it runs. It doesn't knock when I rev it up in the driveway, so that's something. I hear 4 bangers. Just regular traffic. So I didn't blow it up then, I guess. Anyway, it backfired, which was probably maybe a lean spot. I haven't really been that hard on it yet, actually, in boost, because the charge tube came off. Oh, buddy's freaking out at me. Better go in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.